Kevin's still pissed about the drone, so he sent me down to Tactical Distributors. I'm like the intern janitor or something. But so I'm in the warehouse. It's pretty cool though. They got like hundreds of brands of stuff. They got like Altama, Sitka gear, got everything. Like check some of this stuff out. I was looking through earlier. They got like Faro Concepts, little mag holders, you know. This one was cool. They got Solomon. So like Solomons are normally pretty expensive, but tacticaldistributors.com, Unpossible 15 gets you 15% off. It's not expensive anymore. This one they got MTHD. It's like their in-house thing. It's super cool. It's kind of like Patagonia. It's just like it's a new thing.
Jay,
it's really cool.
Come on, man. I told you. You want me to call Kevin?
No. Check it out.
All right. Move this out the way. Sup, Jay?
Nothing. I brought my P7s for the.
You brought your P7s?
Yeah.
Such a dick move even to say that.
Brought the hangover stuff, so me and Hamp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys are on a sick one, huh?
You guys party too hard for me, man.
What are you talking about, man? We hadn't had a drink in months till you got here.
Okay,
Jesus
well,
Christ.
I mean, I don't care if you did it in my honor or what, but I'm hurting. And this says this is a liver detox.
Some cannabis med 7 stuff. I'm all about it.
Well, I need the liver detox, man. My liver's been on strike for months. It smells like fucking death, though.
That's weed, brother.
It doesn't taste horrible. It tastes a little like weed, though.
I liked it. Did you see this EOTECH coffee cup they brought me yesterday?
I did. I like that one.
You see where when you pour the hot coffee in there, the reticle, it lights up?
Just like real life.
And you got the green one. That's got to be super rare.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not as many.
Jay, do you know our buddy Aaron Hampton?
We've met, but I don't know him.
You heard about him?
I heard about him.
Range Rover Casanova.
Yeah.
Big Pimpin.
Yeah.
Big Hamp. Black and Mild. What else? What else we got? 51 Cent, I think they called him as well. Yeah. So how you doing?
Can't complain, other than too much drinking. But actually, man, I'll tell you this.
I know.
And this is the caffeine-free one.
That's
I don't
the
even know why
caffeine-free.
you threw that at me.
I know, because I want to dominate you in this podcast. So I got the caffeine, and
Dude,
I gave you the
want to
downer.
dominate me, all you got to do is take off your clothes and say, "Let's wrestle," and I'll let you start in the fucking point of domination. But I will reverse the hold. So we'd take turns.
I don't know. I do like a mocha latte.
Listen, there's not much you're gonna find sexier in New Hampshire. This is like my 4th trip out here to this great state, and yeah, I mean, as far as like really sexy pieces of man candy, I'm fucking at least top 4.
Yeah. So
you didn't
thank
like,
you
so
guys.
you didn't like the taste.
Thanks Med 7 for the hangover stuff. I wish you'd send some earplugs next time. Thank you for the fellow who sent the leopard sling. So if this doesn't go on my rifle, I'm sure it'll go on Jay's. And they sent us some. What is this? I can't see without my glasses here. This is some straight bourbon whiskey, Manifest Whiskey Project, and gin. So thank you. We'll probably get after that in a few minutes. And you guys, this wonderful LED sign.
Yeah,
I love it.
We've got a
great addition.
We've got a great guy who does our marketing, digital marketing. He does all of our swag, and he comes up with some pretty cool stuff. We need to take a cue from you guys and do some more mystery stuff. And I think it'd be a great thing to get the two guys together, get you and your team and our guy, and collabo on some kind of limited or some kind of mystery shirt, right?
Mystery shirt.
We do a mystery.
I would
shirt.
like it. I love the mystery
Do the
shirt.
mystery
man.
shirt and prize package and all that cool
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
we
man.
could do something killer for that.
we talked about it yesterday, but you're at EOTech now, and you guys are no longer part of L3, and so you're back to your racing roots.
Correct.
So getting after it. Then the stuff that you showed us, I am so excited about. For my use for hunting and practical stuff, you guys, I can't wait for some of the new products.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. You know, one of the things that happened, I think we talked about it with JB. We had a lot of ideas when we started Voodoo, and we had a really good business plan when we launched that lineup. But you know, due to all the things that happened in corporate, we weren't really able to go after a lot of the things we wanted to go after and develop and innovate in the way that we wanted to, because innovation takes a little bit of time. It takes some effort. It takes
Money,
and
patience.
a little bit of patience. I mean, you can move fast, right? But you can't move that fast, and you can't offset whatever you're doing. But in any case, we're not constrained by that anymore. So even though EOTech had a lot more products on the roadmap when they were divested from L3 than we do right now, the products we have on the market or on the roadmap right now are really amazing, and they really fit with our heritage, and they're really an advancement of our current technology and our current space in the market.
Well, let me ask you. You say heritage. How do you view EOTech and its heritage?
EOTech was, an innovator in electro-optic technology. The original founders were pioneers in holography. They developed the very first helicopter gunship sight using holography. And somebody said, you know what, it would be an awesome idea if we could put this on a small arms. And they started developing toward that, and that's what began the initial holographic weapon sight, or HWS, or what most people just refer to as an EOTech.
Yeah, I know. The first ones I saw, I remember it was like competition shooting, I think.
That's right. Jerry Mikulik was kind of the first guy
to
pick up on it and really shoot.
He can shoot
a lot. Yeah, I mean, I can pull the trigger a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would say that our heritage is really looking around the corner. That's how we were founded. We were, hey, this is great technology, and for a lot of different reasons.
Put it into small arms.
But most importantly, it's better because it's faster.
Well, let's ask Cloner Jay.
Yes, sir.
So, where's yours? Is it on your desk? Oh, we got these mags also. Math magician,
I saw that. That was
rocket
awesome.
scientist, and all these. What did yours say? Drone.
Drone. I'm not sure. I saw the picture, but Drone Ranger. That's
Drone Ranger.
Yeah, Ranger.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Well, so for you young cloners who weren't even born when EOTech came out, like how's EOTech viewed?
I think by, I guess, my generation, everyone likes EOTech. There was people talk a lot of shit about the like thermal drift stuff back in the day, but everyone
we
knows
covered that a lot yesterday, and I didn't even know about that, honestly.
Everyone knows it's been remedied. I think they have a reputation of being bomb-proof. And
did you know when they told the story yesterday that when they evaluated all these other optics and stuff as a result of that the EOTech that caused all this finished first in that test, had less. Right. When they did an actual test.
That's crazy.
For the thermal drift,
it
had less than anything else they tested.
That sounds about how it would go.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. But no, I mean, I don't know too much about the early history of EOTech. Like, I think the earliest ones that I know of are like the 551s, 553s, or whatever. But
geez, I feel like that was yesterday. Aaron, we're getting old.
We are old.
Those are the ones that you see on all the clones. So those are the only ones I know about. That's yeah.
Oh yeah, because I guess the military probably never used the original big long ones.
The 553 was really the first, and that was the SU-231. And then as we move forward, we had the SU-231 Alpha.
Right.
And then we've done some advancements since then. But when you're under severe corporate constraints, it's always about
tell me about it.
You're making money right now.
Yeah, really?
So just keep doing that. Don't do the next thing. Do this thing.
Well, man, that's where I hadn't paid attention to the story. I knew EOTech had been sold, and I didn't know it. I didn't know what was going on exactly until you told me yesterday, and that's so exciting for me. Also, being someone who's been on both sides of that corporate thing, now with you guys having Voodoo and having a name in that and having product ideas, being able to bring some of those new products to market on stuff you showed me yesterday.
We were the only company that was consumer facing. So we were treated like a government contract company. And because of that fact,
You just mean with L3?
With L3.
There weren't very many companies in the portfolio.
well, there were none that were consumer facing, just us. So everything else was a contract company. So the one thing you don't have to do with a government contract company is market. So it wasn't about marketing. It wasn't about telling our story. And so we did a poor job of educating the consumer on what holography is and why holography is better than
you
red
educated
dot.
the shit out of me yesterday.
And so we talked
I
about
loved
that
it.
yesterday, but that holds in the fact that, like we said yesterday, we've never received, for all the clones that we've ever received, it's only been industrial design. We've never had a out of China actual holographic site because holography is hard. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to design. It's certainly not easy to manufacture. So
So
we're in the
explain.
same way as you. We have very high payroll. We've got very skilled workers who
Well,
come
if you're
in
putting
every day.
lasers in there too, I mean, just the cost of building one. Just component-wise has to be expensive. Like, I understand it way better today than I did 2 days ago.
Well, dude, I love your place, and you're right here by a train track. We've got a train track half a mile away from the factory in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Several years ago, we were scrapping tons of holograms as they were recording these holograms because they would just be slightly out of phase. There was a slight problem. We couldn't figure out why, and it was because the train was coming. So you're talking a $500,000 retrofit just to that building or just to that part of the building to add springs and other things. Like, it's very precise.
It is so amazing when, just the ignorance, and I'm not trying to call everyone's stupid, but the ignorance of if you've never done it and you think, oh, well, you can buy, whatever, someone that would try to compete with you that just does something different, but it looks similar, and they rip it off. They're not doing the R&D, but understanding when you're putting new technology or even existing technology, but into small arms, so you're having to put it in a different envelope and do all the things that are critical for that, like what it actually takes. I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know how many employees we have now, but it's a small percentage that are engineers, and it's probably 2/3 of Adam's headache, dealing with that. I mean, but it's such a critical part of the business if you want to be innovative. Yeah, the shit that you go through to do it that people don't even realize just because this looks like something else on the outside.
Yeah, and if you've got to deal with, you when you're the size of the size that Q is getting to, the portfolio that you're creating, the advances that you want to take, you start bringing on, product management and at some point, a sales team. And so now you have all these conflicting priorities. Hey, we need to make money to continue this thing forward, but we've got to service our customers with innovation and the newest and latest. And so you've got your salespeople who are telling you the voice of the customer. This is what the consumer wants. This is what they want. And then you've got engineers saying, we want to do it like this, and then you've got product management that's kind of caught in the middle saying
It's
this
where it
is the way
becomes
to do it.
It's such a critical job in an innovative company.
And that's the part where I think a lot of people lose track of it, or a lot of the consumers lose track of the difficulty and the expense that comes in with it to figure out the right route to go and then develop the right system that's 100% foolproof.
As time's gone on, I understand that a lot of what I did without knowing it was product management because, you got the engineers, and it's like I'll tell Ethan, who I think is one of the best engineers in our industry, but like he can't pick a product that anybody's going to want. Like he just can't. He doesn't understand it. But if you give him some parameters, he can develop the best thing. And so I think that's something I did all the time and then was good at the marketing. But, with EOTECH or any of these companies, it's a tough one, being at SIG and being at Remington, like who drives what you produce?
Right.
And who can understand when the engineers are like too far off the reservation and they want to do something that nobody's going to want, even though it'll be super cool, who cares? Right. And then I with sales or product management, I do not respect, and I don't like when guys just all they do is key in on what your competitors are doing, and we have to feel that. And I've fallen victim to that a lot myself, doing it, just being so competitive and wanting to crush others. And there is a balance. Like sometimes you want to compete in this space where there are, there's a market for it, and your competitors are, have the market share. And then sometimes it just doesn't make any sense for you to do that, and it doesn't support the mission of trying to be innovative and do those things. Yeah, and the balance sounds like you guys are in a spot where we are. It's like the balance of production and maintaining the existing customer base and an incredible product that you've got, but what's the next generation look like? And I saw that with Voodoo with some stuff you showed me. You guys have great products, which we've endorsed. That 5 to 25 is an awesome product. But like I said yesterday, for me, for my use case, most of the time, like I don't go to the range with the dudes and shoot 1,000 yards a ton. Like I don't really do it. It's not my thing. I love doing it, but it's not really my thing currently. And if I've got that kind of time, I want to go hunt or prep for a hunt.
Sure.
But that's an awesome optic. But like I said to you yesterday, like I want to go below 5 power if I'm on a hunt.
Right.
And, you guys did something incredible with the size of that scope. But if that were in a 2 to 20 or a 1.5 to 17 or whatever it could be, oh, that would be an awesome hunting product.
When we launch our next generation holographic sight, right? When that thing is buttoned up, ready to go, and we launch it, we can bring that to the market and not have to feel as though we need to educate the consumer or prove a damn thing. We were the pioneers of holography, and if we say it's better, I think the market space will trust us in that it's better and that it is the next evolution. Now, obviously, we can't just throw something out there and it'd be trash. And they keep
no, but if you guys think it is, and it is, I mean, because the ramifications. I mean, with every asshole in the world having social media and stuff now, you get called out. I mean, look at the lawsuit with the thermal drift stuff.
Absolutely. And so, but we know that on holography. What we also knew is that coming into the magnified optics line and bringing out Voodoo is that we had to prove it. Like we couldn't just show up with this and say it's good and expect our brand to be able to carry it, because then we're devaluing both. So
I agree with
everything we've done with Voodoo, and obviously it didn't fall on the timeline that we wanted it to, because a lot of the corporate priorities conflicted with the way that we wanted to launch.
Yeah, it was an interesting time for you guys to launch that, considering all the stuff.
Very. But the 5 to 25 is the way it is, and the power range is where it is, because that was super hard to do. And our idea was to prove...
Still no one's doing it.
No one else is doing it, because much like holography, it's expensive. It's a
magic ain't cheap. There's
not at all.
That says that. Yeah.
People think those freaking Keebler elves don't cost a lot, but to keep them in that fucking tree and have them baking all the time and working on your shit, it's difficult. And so you'll start to see now that we feel, and the sales show, that we have proven ourselves to be a premium optics manufacturer, even though we're at a much greater value. We're at a much lower price point with the same feature set and functionality as our nearest competitors. And we didn't do that by compromising quality. We did that by saying we're willing to take a lower margin, because we want to put good product out there. We want to be able to innovate, and we need, we've got a case to prove. So you'll see now that we've done that, we're able to get into that more sportsman's-oriented role, that more consumer-oriented role. We figured out the challenges behind shrinking that light path so that we could get a super short 5 to 25. So now we're going to change that, and instead of starting at a base of 5, maybe we start at a base of 2. And we go to a 2 to 20 that's in the same size package with a smaller objective lens.
So that if somebody wants to shoot far with the fix, that is the perfect optic. Because from my standpoint, I'm very ignorant to optics, but I shoot enough to know what I like, and features are important to me. And the way I view, the 1 to 6 from you guys is there's 4 or 5 in the market that are really good. That to me, honestly, I like them all. So if you, whatever you get, those are good. And that's the way I view y'all's 1 to 6. The 5 to 25 to me is kind of a class in and of its own. Mm-hmm. I love the clicks. I love the turrets. I love the glass. The size, when we started looking at it, we compared it yesterday to some others. Like that top rail being able to, on an AR-10 or a shorter gun, being able to have that optic with 25 magnification and still being able to put something in line in front of it, incredible. So when you showed me some of the new products yesterday, it's along the lines of that 5 to 25 where, oh, shit, I will take my Swarovski off my hunting gun to have that you're doing now.
And
I
the price,
can't wait.
the
The price point. Yeah, because
insane.
my Swarovski, I showed you that new one that I got yesterday, which I love, and it's a Z8i, and what was that, like a 1 to 7 to 13 or 1 to 3
It's
to
like
13 or something?
1.7 to 13, something like that.
whatever.
Yeah.
But, it's not a tremendous size, but it's weight, and it's got the features that I want, and that power range is great for me.
Yeah.
But that scope, what Colin said yesterday, that scope is $3,400.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck can afford that?
Yeah, that's like when you said the potential price of the new one. I was like, I'll get two. Like,
Yeah, I mean, even that Z8i, which is like my favorite compact scope right now, but it's really not very short.
No.
But it is lightweight. The
very
glass is great. They do a terrific job with the dot, better than just about anybody, I believe.
And a great job with their reticle etching. I mean, it's a rugged scope that's gonna, the clicks are consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
their
great
turret
scope.
system is good, which, them designing for strictly hunting or commercial use other than a military bias, they do things like the turret that I showed you yesterday. Their turret is a super cool system for the average guy.
Oh yeah.
But that scope, I don't know how much that scope is. Probably $3,000.
Yeah, if not more,
I mean,
yeah.
you
No, I
just
think
eliminate
that
99% of the customer base.
Yeah, that one's significantly more than that, or at least the prices I've been able to find it. I'm not sure what the MSRP is, but you're going to pay more than $4,000 for that scope.
they're not the prettiest looking either. That's what bums me out.
The
about
finish does, compared to this, does look
Yeah.
like airsoft. I agree.
It's just like, I mean, it looks, like the Voodoos, some of the loopholes, like the newer companies, some of the Vortex, they look modern. They look high speed.
Vortex has done a tremendous job. I will give a shout out to them
yeah.
for that.
Oh, yeah.
The way their scopes look, like the finish, the detail. But I always say with Vortex, like I put it in the category of like they're 1 to 60, you're 1 to 6, and I would use the Voodoo 1 to 6 because I think the Vortex is too heavy. Most all the other features of it I like fine, and aesthetically it looks good. A lot of attention to detail. Their industrial design I think is very good.
Mm-hmm. But what did we do, right? So what do we do as manufacturers, right? We look at generally speaking, we look at what does the customer want, right?
Yeah.
And what did the customer always say they wanted? I want it rugged. I want it bomb-proof.
Yep.
So you look at let's take U.S. Optics. Right.
Oh, yeah,
the
forget about
the heaviest optic on the planet, but you can roll over your truck with it. Screw your rifle afterwards. It doesn't matter. Your scope will still be there. And that Vortex kind of took that route. And then you take a look at the Fix and the Mini Fix and the Honey Badger, and what did you do? Well, we're not sacrificing any of that strength. We're just telling you it doesn't have to be a brick to be strong.
No, it was
And that's
interesting.
what we did.
Well,
Ours is just as rugged as anything from Vortex, but it's lighter weight
you
because
can
we
engineer-
scienced it and made sure that it was, but
you
it
can
doesn't
engineer
have to be that way.
lightweight and durable. Heavy
Exactly.
does not necessarily mean durable.
No, it just
I've
means
learned
heavy.
it was interesting. The CEO of Taurus did the podcast, and shout out to Brett, cool guy, young guy, and he made a couple of very interesting observations on the podcast. To him, like in Taurus, he knows their place in the market. He's got things to overcome. They've had some real innovative products the last couple of years. They got a little 9mm that's cool. Their new little 22 pistol is my favorite. I don't care. He did give me the pistol, but it's $300. Like I don't even give me a $300 fucking pistol. But he did. I didn't even know about it, and I swear to God, I like it more than my Hammerly. It's a striker-fired 16-round magazine. It's awesome. So if you want a 22 pistol silencer on, get that. What was it? The TX Tactical or something?
I forget the name of it, but it is really
But
cool. It's got a plate
I got to
on
see
it.
this
So-
thing before I leave.
RMR on top
Yeah,
of it.
but it doesn't reciprocate. It's like on that plate.
It's on the barrel.
Yeah. It's on the barrel. That's right.
Yeah, it's fixed. So, but
that's cool.
16 round mag, and it's a striker fired. The trigger is phenomenal. So actually, Olivier, who used to work at FN, who did some of their pistols, he's their engineer now. So, but what he said was ridiculous to him, which he is understanding, is like a firearm is the only consumer product someone purchases and they expect it to last their lifetime.
Right.
Like you think if you have a phone for 3 years, you feel like you feel slighted by it. You know, nobody wants a car for 5 years.
Right.
Your laptop, you got to get a new one every 2 years. But like, oh, my gun, I bought a Honey Badger 5 years ago, and you've updated the stock. I want you to give me a new one.
Sure.
Like, yeah, shut up. And so with optics, it is a hard thing. It's like I think we're supposed to, our consumers, we just haven't done a good job of educating them. They believe that we're supposed to future-proof every product for 50 fucking years. It's
Right.
stupid. I mean, don't you want us to continue to innovate and improve?
You do, but you want that innovation and improvement for free because why didn't you figure that out before you sold me one?
Yeah, it's
right?
great.
And that's that. And you're right because it's not how any other industry works. And if Ford does a 2021.5 because they figured out something that would be 9 times out of 10, it's either safety related or more
Cheaper.
cost effective
Yeah.
for them. But immediately, if you want it, you automatically know you've got to go buy a new truck.
Can you imagine-
Don't feel like you got to call Ford and say, "Give me that."
Aaron Hampton's 1996 Rolls Royce. If you take it in and you want them to put the current engine and interior in your car,
Mine. You see, you're confused because it was just the Rolls Royce front grille.
Oh, you
a
got it
Chevy.
on your Chrysler 300?
and what and
No, that's my fake Bentley.
Oh, yeah.
You got it confused.
but you imagine, like I thought about that the other day when someone was giving me shit about wanting like our latest stock for a gun they bought in 2018, and it's like, well, what if I took my 2014 911 to Porsche and said, hey, fuck you guys, put the new engine in this.
No, let's look
Okay,
at it. Look at it the
give
other
us
way.
$100,000.
Yeah.
Look at it the other way. What if you went to the Porsche dealership right now and the 2021 was still a 2014? How pissed would you be then, or would you even buy it? Like,
Well, you know the way I
expect
think about those
innovation, but in
things.
the gun industry, we expect it for free,
Yeah, I guess I would be,
and it
but-
still costs.
yeah.
You know, I mean, if everybody else is progressing, but it's the same damn car from 7 years
Or
ago,
when people,
you're not gonna buy that.
Everybody used to want 911 owners because they're, and I don't have a 911, but I have had one. But
I was going to say, I'm sure you've had one.
Yeah,
There's,
but
there's a
I'm
reason
not-
you don't have
I'm
one.
not super into it, and I would actually have one now, but it just seems, douchey now.
He's gonna
You
go get
totally
one. He's gonna go get
invalidated
one.
everything.
He's
else.
going to go get one.
No,
I don't have
no,
one.
I
Well, I
won't.
would.
But like, if no one would ever see me drive it or whatever, I would go get one because like I love the car and
like
it's
a
super.
Corvette.
It's super cool. Oh, the new Corvette. I hate to admit it is such a great
too,
looking
'cause I
car.
hate
Oh,
Corvettes.
me too.
I saw one yesterday near the shop, and I was
Yeah.
like,
All right, I got to tell you, I got a call yesterday. The only phone call that I took while I was here yesterday,
You getting a new vet?
somebody just declined one. So now I got to make a decision.
How much is a new one?
So with the markup, and this is just a basic LT one, it'll be 83.
Such a value.
That's a huge value. And the used ones
And
are
that's
going
with
for $100,000
markup.
right now. Yeah, it's a $15,000 markup from the. So the Atlanta dealers are doing $10,000.
My 911 was more than that 20 years ago.
but you got to
Sure.
drive a Corvette.
And it's, dude, and I'm gonna put,
That
I'm
new
gonna
one-
scratch this itch. I'm gonna drive about 2,000 miles on it, and then
Beat it.
that's
sell
what,
it.
that's what all you Army
yeah.
guys do. Rolexes and Corvettes, man.
No, I keep my watches until something
Yeah.
else shiny.
Well, I don't know where we were with any of that, but
Yeah. Well, we were talking about development and the differences in it, and the fact is, you're right. No other industry do their consumers expect them to give them the innovation for free or to not update it. And as manufacturers, we expect that I need to entice you to buy something new anyway, because I'm not making a consumable product. You know, I'm not making ammo where you're going to have to buy it again later.
the
I'm
gun's
building
gonna
a
last you your
firearm
whole life.
that'll last you. So to make you buy another one, same
mean-
thing with the HWS.
I mean, and I've got EOTECHs on guns that are probably 15 years old, and I just don't change it because it seems unnecessary.
And it still works.
And
it'll
that
continue to
does
work.
suck for you. I mean, although it's great for me, it sucks for you guys. Like,
Sure.
I'm going to buy something once every 20 years from you.
And I've got to make reasons for you to buy more. I've got to make
Yeah.
now with the military, and that was the conundrum we were in with corporate because they were contractors, right? They were government contracting company, and we were a commercial company that happened to have a government contract.
Yeah.
And so we were looking at the consumer side of it, whereas they were saying, look, you're gonna sell new product as long as we've got this contract anyway, so it really doesn't matter. You don't need to innovate. You don't need to spend money on R&D.
You're growing or dying, man.
And that was the thing. And now we can operate that way. We can operate towards let's be dynamic. Let's do the next thing. Let's stop doing the old thing.
It's all good in the hood till the military contract goes away or till they open it up and somebody else uses your technology and it pay for the innovation and they can do it for half of what you can.
Sure.
Like
This might be going back.
What am I going to do?
But where does the name Voodoo come from? Is it like FUBU or?
No. So
follow us, buy us.
JB and Mark and I, we are not masters of nameology.
Oh,
so
we wrote the book on nameology.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I love the new name, though. I still maintain my idea is better than your name. The
Kevin?
LBGTQ.
Oh, yeah.
That's
for the new trigger. Literally the best trigger ever made.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell your idea.
Hold on, I gotta pull out the notes.
I think I was going to pull the trigger
Is it
out.
written like my grandpa in a note in his butt pocket?
Dude, I can't remember fuck all. So I keep a pen and a notepad because otherwise it didn't happen. But yeah, so for Voodoo, we were looking for a name and we were trying to figure out a bunch of other stuff. And, one of the things about long range shooting is that there's a lot of science to it, but there's also a lot of magic, a lot of hoodoo. And JB had come up with doing it, calling it voodoo, and for the magical aspect of it, we thought it was, a really fitting setup. And then we came up with Mayhem. I don't know where I don't see a Mayhem around here anywhere. But
it was on the
yeah. We came up with Mayhem, our voodoo doll, and you'll notice his eye is a HWS reticle, and so we were able to go back for it. And voodoo was, and at that point, voodoo was born. So I wish it had a fucking awesome story to it. It would be killer. But my thing was, it's literally the best trigger ever, which is cool because when they reference it, they've got to say that literally the best trigger ever fucking sucked.
The media.
It doesn't even work.
Oh,
right?
I love kicking them in the nuts.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like literally the greatest badass trigger, right? Could change that. But that's LGBT by Q.
Right. So, yep, I'm in.
And
yeah,
now
I know
everything,
I'm in.
Now
You'll totally
everything
be
is
in.
rainbow, and it's literally the greatest badass trigger by Q.
It's a great name.
LBGTQ. Come on.
It is great.
Where were you 6 months ago before I did all the packaging?
Can I publicly thank EOTECH for giving some optics for the FPC raffle that we were part of with a bunch of companies. We were just down in Texas. They
Hell yeah.
donated a couple optics, a 5 to 25 that we talked about, an EXPS3, and a
You
G33.
made it so a blind kid was able to shoot an animal. That says a lot for voodoo.
Yep.
How did the winner enjoy his prize package?
He was stoked. I told him he needed to cry when I
He
gave him
seemed
the
like
gun.
the nicest kid.
Super
man.
nice kid. And he brought his dad with him, which was really cool, and like they had a blast.
Warms my heart. My kid, he'd probably not bring me.
It was awesome. But he didn't cry, but I think it's because of his
eye situation.
condition. Yeah. But he was very, very thankful, and he crushed.
Well, I'm thankful too. I mean, us fighting for gun rights and finally getting an organization full of asshole attorneys that instead of fucking with us on behalf of the ATF, will go after the ATF, keep them in check. Because that's the problem, as we know, with regulatory agencies. Who keeps them in check from fucking with the man? I don't need them. Like we as a company, just like EOTECH or any other reputable company, we want to follow government regulations and guidelines and laws. But they also need to be reasonable and in check and in line with our Constitution. And so shout out to FPC and especially our homie Adam Kraut for taking them to task. Like you want to start some bullshit? Like, okay, well, let's just make sure that there's some checks and balances for you as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing about FPC is that not only do we all support them because we like what they're doing, but they're all cool guys. Like, I don't know anyone at the NRA. I'm sure they're real nice, but they're not. I hung out with Adam Kraut, Jeff Sylvester, and they put up with all of us idiots being idiots and joined in, and they're...
To say Adam Kraut is one of the stellar idiots in the industry, so I don't think he put up with it.
Yeah.
Did he wear a flamingo shirt or some kind
He had
of
some
really
tie dye on.
goofy?
Yeah, he had some tie dye on. I've got pictures of him and videos of him smoking a cigar and
He's
nods
such
and
a sweetie.
in a tie dye shirt and stuff. Yeah, he's
especially
good
for
dude.
an attorney, right?
Yeah, I mean, he probably can never get wealthy being an attorney because he's too nice and too good of a guy.
Yeah, they're all good guys. There was everyone that showed up. If people want to be following accounts and companies that support all this or that are on the same page, the list goes on, but it was FPC, us, Warm and Fuzzy, Doghead Collective, Superior
Auto-Seer.
Auto-Seer, unbelievable photographer.
He's cool too. I like
super
him.
cool guy. The Uncommon Line podcast, they did one with FPC. I sat in on it for 10 or 15 minutes as well. Man, the list is so big.
EOTECH.
EOTECH.
Shooting
Yeah,
circles.
I mean, it is
shooting
cool.
circles.
I mean, whether it's you guys giving optics for our mystery shirt winners or when we do a gun for Sock F, like all that is greatly appreciated. And, we don't ever want to take advantage of it, but it's just great for the industry and especially this FPC stuff, like the fight against, like after the arm brace stuff and the way they went after us. And, it just sucks. They just decided they would screw with us on the arm brace. And it's a bunch of, government officials. It costs them nothing. But it could put 50 families out of work and, just on a whim. And they have
not to mention criminalizing.
Yeah, making 4 million people felons. But it also, even if you don't take it that far, like the reality of what happened was they shut down honey badger production for 6 months. So that could have caused us to lay people off, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, well, never mind."
Yeah,
it shouldn't be allowed. Like if you want to shut down production of our products based on you think something might not fit your guidelines, and you shut it down for 6 months, and then you call Nevermind 6 months later, like they owe us money. Yeah. Like that cost me millions of dollars, and I didn't lay anyone off because it's bullshit. Just because the ATF wants to pull something out of their ass. I don't want to lay people off and send them home, and for them not to have accountability with that is horrible. So shout out to FPC. If you want to support a group that is defending your rights and trying to hold them accountable, and because, I'm not friends with anybody that is looking to skirt gun laws or ATF regulations. But, oftentimes it's just like not clear. And how do you get an answer?
Right.
Yeah.
And, they put you in a situation like, thank God we had the cash to have attorneys to defend it and to go the 6 months while they were, whatever they were doing, having us in limbo, not allowing us to ship guns, that we could float, payroll and stuff like that.
Another thing that they do that I think is kind of a byproduct of what their main goal is, but I think they're indirectly bringing companies together that kind of wouldn't before. Like, we say a lot of wild shit because we can and we want to and we believe in it, but like Surefire donated a bunch of lights to us like to give us products. Like, we've never had, as far as I know, we haven't had a bad relationship with them. We've never really been cool with them.
I have had a not so great relationship with Surefire, but shout out to them.
Yeah, because of
water
this,
under the bridge.
Yeah, because of this, all these companies that either didn't know each other, didn't have relationships, whatever, now had relationships.
Yeah, I mean, a common cause. Like, I even hate getting political, like, whatever. But, obviously, I'm conservative when it comes to the Constitution. I believe in our rights. And it's not just the First, Second, or 17th Amendment. It's all of them. And, the idea of coming up with ways to infringe, or, from a firearms company standpoint, it's like a privilege, although it should be a right to have an FFL. And they can take it from you whenever they want for anything, basically. But, for us being a company that wants to follow their guidelines, and oftentimes it's impossible to get an answer to a question from them, but they can come in and shut you down. And it just doesn't seem very American. It's like, okay, we've decided we have these laws and regulations. You issue us a license. We want to supply legal products to people who are legally allowed to possess them. And not everything is black and white. So we have a question for you. Fucking answer it.
Right.
And anyway,
there's
all my political rants.
And that's the big part. If it's not clear enough for the organization or the agency that writes or enforces those laws to interpret, then why the fuck is it on the books? If you
and they
can't
can't
tell me
answer
what
that
it
either.
means and you don't know what it means, then it's nonsensical and it should be gone. If it can't be clearly articulated, then how the hell can it be properly enforced? It shouldn't be there. And I think that's one of the problems that I have with the NRA is that for far too long there's been the story of we're really focusing on your rights and we're doing the best things that we can, but in reality, they're really just, constantly and repeatedly preaching to the choir and not gaining new advocates.
I think
and
they lost their way. Just like Wounded Warrior, for me, was a great example.
Yeah,
like you use that name, and there is no red-blooded American that does not want to support our soldiers, does not want to support anyone that sacrifices like that. And heaven forbid you come back injured, you have a disability for the rest of your life. We all want to do that. But when it turns into a big organization, you got people at the top making millions of dollars, more times than not, it's just easy to lose your way. And that's for like us supporting SOC-F, which is a great organization for special operations. That no one involved takes a single penny. It's 100% pass through. And not that there's not people that can enhance those organizations and get a paycheck, but it's always, and I think, that's what NRA turned into. And so it's great to see an organization of younger people like FPC utilizing, valuing a younger demographic, focused on the Second Amendment, willing to take the ATF to task, not, of course, us as a company that is licensed by them, we want to have a relationship with them. And I understand that NRA and these other organizations want to have a relationship with them. But, it's also like your kids. Like, sometimes you got to spank that ass and keep them in line. And it's hard. That's why I hate regulatory in our country. It's like a way to circumvent the checks and balances of our government, and I don't like that, because you can have great intentions, like EPA. None of us want the oceans to be poisoned or any of that shit, but it's got to be realistic. You've got to understand it, and their goals should align with who they're serving, which are civilians and the masses and the people of this country.
Sure.
It shouldn't be to a government go around to prosecute people that they deem as not worthy or that they think shouldn't be allowed to participate in something that is government sanctioned. So anyway, that's all. Yeah. Anyway, a young Aaron Hampton, AA Ron, Big Pimpin.
That was a long time ago.
Range Rover Casanova. All right. How do you join the Army? What happens? Because, for me, I figured you'd be like the next host on American Bandstand or something.
I needed to get the hell out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
So that's where you're from, Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I needed to get out of there, and
so you Southern Cajun hillbilly, sort of.
Well, the problem is we don't have any hills.
No.
Our highest point is like 63 feet above sea level, so we have no hills. So
Baton Rouge,
Cajun is more for your swamp dwellers.
That means red stick.
Baton
Rouge.
I used to hunt. Well, not hunt, but we used to murder Nutri-Rat and sell the hides.
Oh, they got a $6 bounty on them right now. I'm going on a hunt.
It was never that expensive back then.
They have a $6 bounty right now, and they're trying to kill 400,000 a year. And I'm going on a hunt down there. I cannot wait.
Trust me, it is not a hunt. It is a murder. Yeah. It is so much more.
Hey,
fun
I don't want you throwing your morality on me.
Look, the two. No. That I have no problem with killing or murder. I'm just saying you don't have to work for it. It's even more fun than crow hunting, which to me is the most fun hunting.
They brought Nutri in just as a source for fur originally, and then fur kind of went out of fashion in the 80s, and the population has exploded, and they're destroying the marsh. So I think it looks like as a result of Nutria in the marshlands of Louisiana. You guys are losing 50 to 100,000 acres a year of land because of Nutria, because they're eating down all the stuff in the marsh.
All the vegetation that actually holds the sediment that produces land.
So we got to get after it. I'm going to get my part, and let me just say, I hope I kill 1,000 of them. I'm donating my $6,000 to maybe hours north, maybe
Yeah,
to
yeah.
FPC. I don't know.
Do you shoot them with 22s? That
Shotgun
Or-
generally, but I'm going
shotgun.
after 'em
Well,
with.
we did them with shotguns a little, but mostly it was 22 single shots because be out hunting raccoons, running the dogs, and that's when you'd find them, and they were profitable enough to be able to feed the dogs and buy some school clothes.
Because
and
it's
that kind of
actually
thing.
good meat that you can eat.
Yeah.
But people think of it as like a rodent.
rat,
so
yeah.
it's.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a Nutri-Rat, right? But you'll be able to find it in the New Orleans area.
Yeah, it's white
there's-
meat. I mean-
There's a lot of boudin that is
Yeah.
made with Nutra, and a lot of women don't realize it, but the trim on their mink coats and that kind of thing, and even on some of the rabbit stuff now, is all Nutra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cheap.
and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean it is a fantastic fur, but
I
I
mean,
just
that's why
needed-
they were brought here. Yeah.
I just needed to get out of there. And but outside of that, you know what they do with the meat? Beyond that is they feed it to the alligator farms.
Oh.
So it's cheap meat for them. So we used to sell the hides and then sell the bodies to the alligator farms, and
Nice.
and they would feed the alligators. I mean, so you only got like 20 cents a pound for it, but hell, I mean, it's worth it.
$6 a piece. Now all you got to do is turn in the tails,
Well,
Jay.
it-
I'm getting after.
Oh, it's just turning into
Yeah,
tails.
it's
I'm gonna
it
go
tells
down on my
me.
own.
So at
do it.
Fort Benning, we were, it still is overrun with hogs, and you just can't kill enough of them to really change it. So many years ago, they, I think it's like 2009, 2010, they hired a guy to come in and trap all these hogs, and I think they paid him like 50 or 60 grand, and he ended up getting like 20 hogs total. So the next year, somebody
What
really
the AMU target practice?
well, we were already doing that to keep them off of our ranges, and it was amazing. But the next year, MWR came in and said, you know what, we're just going to take that same money and let the hunters kill them, and then they bring in the tail. And so unintended consequence, right? You're out there, they're destroying all these hogs, running them into the impact area so they're not a nuisance, right? Because you can't control. They breed like pigs. But they were just cutting off the tails and letting them, leaving them lay. Coyote population exploded. Freaking smorgasbord out here.
Yeah.
They ran out of the 20 grand bounty in like 3 months. So they increased it, and then they increased the amount, and then they had to put a stipulation that it had to have hair on the tail because they were cutting open the pregnant sows and then cutting the tails off the freaking fetuses. So
Jesus. Yeah, I guess I'd do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can have like 10.
it was $20 a tail. I mean,
Yeah.
it was totally worth it, but it did a lot. I mean, it didn't really control the population, but it drove them out of the areas where
Yeah.
you didn't want them doing damage and pushed them out into the impact area. So
Who
out
cares?
of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Well, all right. So you're in Louisiana.
Didn't
and-
want to go to college. Wanted to go to college, wasn't ready to go to college. So I decided I would join the Army.
You have a family history of that, or you first?
No,
Just
first
you?
one, just me. I ended up being a recruiter and put my brother in, so he was the next. But he didn't love it the way I did. So 6 years later, he popped smoke, and got the hell out. But I only joined the Army for 2 years because all I wanted to do was get away for a minute, gain some focus, and get money for college.
Yeah.
And my plan was to come back to Baton Rouge, go to Southern University, get a degree, and go live that life. My 2 years was almost up. I was in the 25th Infantry Division in Hawaii. Platoon sergeant comes, it's like, hey, I got to do your exit counseling since you're not going to re-enlist. I was like, yep, I'm not re-enlisted. And he goes, okay, well, I just got to do the paperwork. Man, no problem, Sarge. So we sat down, and we go through all the list of things, and he's telling me everything about why I need to stay. And he says, okay, well, sounds like you made up your mind. Let me just summarize real quick. So you're going to leave the Army doing a job you like, right? Because you do like your job. Oh, yeah, I love it, Sarge. You guys are great. Okay, making good money. Yep, more money than I've ever made. So that you can go to college and get a degree in something that you don't know and hopefully get a good job that you'll like and make good money, right? I was like, I see.
Not in Hawaii.
I said, I see what you're doing, Sarge, and yes, but fuck you, I'm still getting out. And 3 days later, I re-enlisted, and I did just over 20 years. Right after my 20th year anniversary, I went to a meeting, and I was planning to do 26 years. I had no intention of retiring, but I went to a meeting, and I realized that, you know what, it's a young man's game. It ain't for me anymore. It's time for me to go, and I dropped my retirement paperwork the same day, and it was absolutely perfect because I haven't regretted retiring for one day.
Oh, that's awesome.
I missed the people.
Yeah.
I missed the team.
Yeah, you had a lot of good guys.
Had a lot of great guys. And I went into consulting right after that, and I think that kind of made me miss the team aspect of it more because you go on, you do a project, it works out, everybody's happy, but you high five and walk away, and you leave the bag with everybody else. And so I missed, being involved. I missed being a part of the success and the failures and how do we regroup, that part.
Yeah, the team aspect.
I didn't think I would miss that, but I really missed that because all my formative years were spent in the Army. I mean, I joined the Army at 17.
Oh, wow.
I went to basic training at 17.
It is hard. I mean, I know when I sold Advanced Armament at 35, and then, being thrown out 2 years later. And it's like, what did I really like about it? Because, like when you're young and you're poor, you dream, oh, if I have money. And then, you make some money. And it's not really the thing you love. It's like I know now, and I say it all the time. I love product. I love innovation, and I love not being walked out the front door of my own place. It's pretty simple. But the team aspect, it's important to me, whether it be marketing or it's engineering or whatever part of the company. We've talked at length about, like my flaws and where I'm lacking, and I don't love the production aspect. But a company like Q, it's just mandatory. So now being older and more mature, I embrace it, and I know that's mandatory. But in a selfish way, we have to grow the company in that way. You're growing or dying. We have to grow production to fund the stuff that I selfishly like, which is innovation and marketing, which are the things that really kind of help to grow the company and continue a path forward. So I get it, but it is interesting. You don't understand until you don't have it. Like, what is the thing I really liked about it?
Right, we've had those conversations before in passing, in person, over the phone, and what I think is most important, and it's something that, honestly, I don't believe you consciously understood it at AAC.
No, I had no
After
idea.
AAC, you in reflection, you realized it. But I think at AAC, what was amazing was unconsciously you developed a team that plugged the holes in your boat. Like you knew.
I definitely know that.
You didn't consciously know that you gave zero fucks about production, but you consciously knew you needed people to do this and this and this, and you empowered them to do the things that they needed to do, and that's what kept AAC successful.
I think, and seeing that come forward in this company, because it's always a thing. I believe, you look up to your idols, and to me, it was Reed Knight and it was H&K within our industry, and it's, I want to do these things. Well, fuck, I'm not that smart or I'm not that good. Well, I have to have a team. And I think it is one way I've now, like a second time, been more successful than the average guys. I think I'm more open to understanding. I don't like that. I don't want to do that stuff, but I have to have a team to do it.
Right.
And so same thing with the Army. So when I met you go, so you're recruiting. How do you end up the AMU, like in charge of those guys? What happens?
Dude, recruiting is hard.
It sounds horrible.
So when you get on recruiting duty, you've got a 9-month probationary period. And true story, won't go into details here, but one night I nearly murdered my station commander, real life, because I hated recruiting that much. Oh. And he was that big of an a-hole. And at the time, I just didn't understand it. The one day that week, we had gotten into it, and he had told me, I told him flat out, you can't make me put somebody in the Army. You can make me call anybody you want, but you can't make me put them in the Army. I have to want to put them in the Army. And he goes, okay, well, you know what? You're right. Go home. Go home. We'll see you in the morning. So I come in the next morning. This motherfucker had moved my whole desk, my entire office setup into the parking space in front of the door of the recruiting station. And I pulled up, parked my car, and was like, the fuck is that? I walk inside, and all my shit is gone. And I go, where's my desk? He's like, you saw it. I'm like, okay. You want me to sit outside? He's like, yep. So I go outside, and our lead refinement list, which is all of our books for everybody in high school with the notes on them, they're all missing. All that's sitting there is a phone book. And for those of you who don't know, you used to get a phone book every year. It was really thick and had everybody's phone number in it. And I go, where are my LRLs? He's like, well, you're right. I can't make you put anybody in the Army, but I can make you make phone calls. But I'm also not going to let you fuck up our LRLs by being a jackass. So just start at the A's and continue. If you're not going to do a good job, you're at least not going to fuck up what we're building. So about 4 hours into it, it started getting hot. And I was a recruiter in Baltimore City. So here I am in B's, long sleeves, tie, all awards, sitting outside in the fucking parking lot looking like a total jackass, calling people from the white pages. So he made me do that for the whole day, and then the next day things got better on,
Jay, the white pages are the residential stuff.
Right. Yeah, the yellow pages of the business. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So he felt like it was all better. I was still stewing over it, but that's how much I hated it. And I hated him for doing it. I hated everything else about it. And that night, that weekend, we had a big to do. But somewhere after that, within about the next month, I realized that I was right and he was right. I had to want to do it. I had to want to be that guy. And it was his job to make sure that I had the tools and not let me off the hook easy. Sometimes shit just happens and you can't make it, but you can't just say, okay, buddy, it'll be good next month, because you can't be okay with failure. And the difference between recruiting and the big Army is just that in the big Army, you're required to be successful, but they give you every tool you need to be successful. And to be a recruiter, you had to have been successful in whatever else you were doing. But now you come to recruiting, and your success or failure is based upon the decision-making abilities of a 17 to 34-year-old. Your success is almost completely out of your hands. And it becomes a sales sport. It becomes a contact sport. You've got to go out and you've got to do these things, and you've got to qualify people, and you've got to meet the right people. And one day I realized that it was very data-driven. One day I realized that my conversion data mattered, that I needed to go out and secure 34 appointments. And for me to secure one appointment, it took me asking for 12 appointments. And once I secured 34 appointments, my conversion data from appointment to contract was 1 in 17. So I could make 2 contracts a month if I could get 34 appointments scheduled. But to get 34 appointments scheduled, I had to ask for 340 appointments. So I had to talk to a lot of people. But once I figured out that it was a numbers game and it didn't matter if you said fuck you or okay, if I just kept going down the road, I would get the okays. And then I found my niche. I found out that I was a fucking phenomenal high school recruiter, mostly because I still looked like I was in high school. I mean, I was only 21 when I started in recruiting. I had what was a nice car back then, at least in inner city Baltimore. I had a Volkswagen Jetta with the 216s in the trunk. Like, I was the man, all right?
Of course he did.
Of course I did. So I never drove my government car. I left it at the office, and when I would go do high school visits, I would show up in my car, show you what was there. I had a great memory back then, so I could be whoever you wanted to be, but not for nefarious reasons, but because I was selling you an intangible. I was selling you something that you couldn't see, taste, or touch, but you had to dedicate your future to it. So I truly and wholeheartedly believed that if you were qualified and interested, that it became my job to help you join, not to coerce you to join. You were already engendered to join for whatever reasons that you said okay to our appointment. But after that, it was my job and my responsibility to help you be able to make that right decision. Once I realized that, I became a fantastic recruiter. But one day, we got a recruiter journal, which was our magazine, and on the cover of it was the Army Service Pistol Team, and they had just won nationals for the first time in forever.
The AMU.
The AMU.
Yeah,
and at that
Army
moment,
Marksmanship Unit, the best shooters in the world.
best shooters in the world, absolutely. And at that moment, I found out that they had been transferred to Recruiting Command. So now they were a part of U.S. Army Recruiting
That's
Command.
interesting. I mean, I
They
guess
became a
kinda makes
marketing
sense.
asset.
Yeah, they're marketing.
And they're very expensive. You know, the size of
Yeah.
the AMU is about that of a company, a light
Yeah,
company.
so for people that don't know, so the Army actively recruits some of the best shooters in the world. And so it's for the Olympics, it's for all kinds of games, Pan Am games, like whatever. And you want the best shooters, and they have a full-time staff of machinists, gunsmiths, everything to provide them with the best equipment. So
the best of everything.
so they can, and they have their own range facility at Benning.
Some of the best ranges on the planet.
They are incredible. And, you know, you get guys like Robbie Johnson, Daniel Horner, Tyler Payne. I mean, you know, guys that within my tenure have been there that incredible. I mean, I don't even know his name, but the guy that does all the wind reading stuff that teaches everyone in the world. He's the best.
Presley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Preslick. And teaches everyone how to read wind, you know. And so just the best shooters in the world.
Absolutely.
What a cool place.
So I decided that I would figure out how to get there because I needed a break.
Oh, so you just see it on the cover of the magazine.
See it
You're a
on the cover of the
recruiter, and you're
magazine.
like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
at this
recruiting.
point-
I want to be there.
Well, at this point, I'm a station commander. Like, I had gone from being a detailed recruiter to saying,
Is this when you got the Escalade?
no, I didn't get the Escalade till I got to the AMU.
Oh, okay.
But while I was out there, I decided that I loved recruiting, so I became a station commander, which meant it was that much harder because now I'm responsible for putting people in the Army for myself, running a station, running all of the training, and managing a whole bunch of other recruiters and their success or failure. And that day when I saw that magazine, I also realized that if I was going to retire with 20 years, I was going to spend more than 15 of that in recruiting. And I'm like, I'm going to burn out. That's going to be terrible. Last paragraph of that story was that they did an open TDY period for up to 90 days, and that's how you could get a job. So I finagled my way into getting a tryout by telling my command that, oh, look, I'm probably not going to make it. Just let me go have 30 days. It'll be good. They kind of owed me one. My station was doing great. We had all just got sabers and rings. Like, we were killing it. I had just come back from the Pentagon getting honored for top on production station commander. Like, I had a chip. So I cashed it in to go down to Fort Benning. Ended up spending the entire time at Fort Benning. And then I also got a letter of acceptance. We're like, come back. You can do this. Well,
And so what does this do? This puts you in charge of the AMU in what capacity?
this puts me as, if you get it, you can come and be the broke swankest, lowest shooter on the service pistol team.
Oh.
But you've got to get released from your command and everybody else to be able to come and do this. So I get back, and my commander says, you know, we're not going to release you to go there. You know, get back to recruiting.
Asshole.
And so I'm like, well, okay. And that night, I don't remember who, because I got wildly drunk.
That seems uncharacteristic.
Totally, doesn't it? Wildly drunk, but it was right at. So this was 2001, summer of 2001.
Oh, right before 9/11.
Right before 9/11, and I was in Baltimore City, and my wife worked at the NSA, and we lived on Fort Meade, and the line to get in Fort Meade throughout the rest
I've been there. It's always
was
a fucking mile
ridiculous,
long.
right?
Yeah.
And so we had went out to a friend's house to watch a game or a fight or something, and we're going back. My wife is pregnant with my youngest daughter, and we're in the line, and we'd been in the line for like 30 minutes. And mind you,
So she's got to pee like me right now.
she's fine. I'm
Okay.
fucking hammered though. So we're pulling up. We're in her car. She had a Montero Sport. All of a sudden, we get rear-ended. And I'm mad. I'm drunk mad, right? Like, what the fuck? You done hit my car. I jump out. And as I look behind me, the people that just rear-ended us, and I can't say that this happened for sure, but in my drunken mind, the driver and passenger was switching seats. So now I'm even more angry. But then I realized the passenger, now again, I don't know for sure they switched seats, but in my drunken mind, they were climbing across each other. The passenger is my battalion commander, the guy who told me no.
Isn't that interesting?
So I immediately sober enough up to not try to cuss out my commander and run over to the passenger side, which is his wife, and say, "Is everybody okay?" "Oh, hey, sir, are you all right?" He's like, yeah, we're good. So then I walked towards the front of the truck, stopped the MPs who were coming back to investigate what's going on, tell them, hey, it's no problem, there's not a big deal. And literally he hit our tow hitch and kind of dented theirs. And I was like, "You're good, right, sir? You don't need the MPs. We don't need a report, right?" No, not at all. So this was like a Friday or Saturday night. Monday morning, he calls my office and goes, "Hey, Sergeant Hampton, how's everything going?" It's like, well, it was
my neck.
It was a rough weekend, sir. Truck's fine, I'm fine, but my wife lost the baby.
Oh my God.
And he fucking like, "I'm just fucking with you, sir. Everybody's fine." It wasn't.
Oh,
shit.
you are a dick.
Total dick. But he kind of deserved it. And he said, what, Sergeant Hampton, that's pretty fucked up that you did that. But I was just calling to let you know that we went ahead and approved your 4187 so you can go to the Army Marksmanship Unit.
How'd she keep it at the AMU? So what happened? She go there as a bum.
Went there as a bum. Only planned to do it for a couple of years just to get a break. And David Lewanick, and I think you've met Dangerous Dave before. Well, he was our commander there, and he had a different view from everything that had ever taken place in the marksmanship unit. His big issue was like, I don't give a fuck about marketing. I don't give a fuck about recruiting. We've got guys here that the warfighter can benefit from. So my goal is to figure out how we leverage you guys' capabilities and resources to make the Army more lethal. And I was like, that's fucking dope as shit, but I can't do that from service pistol, and this is the most boring shit I've ever done with my life next to service rifle. So I'm out.
It's not fun.
And he said, why don't you stick around? We're going to do an inaugural event for training where we are going to go to Iraq and teach something to help the warfighters, do better. So we worked on a course that we ended up, taking bits and pieces from all these other courses that we went through, and basically, high performance shooting to teach guys how to, no tactics, just how do you run and drive the gun better, stronger, faster? How can we increase your lethality and therefore your survivability? So we went out to Iraq, did that initial course, came back. This was 2004. We came back from that, and he said, hey, I know you want to go back to Big Army, but how about you stand up action shooting and combat training team? Be all yours. And we had a few guys who were shooting action shooting as kind of an offshoot of
what does that mean?
So action shooting, USPSA pistol, and then Bianchi, which was kind of
moving and shooting. And so, but then he said, 3-gun was kind of just coming into its own back then. And he said, so we'll do 3-gun as well. And I kind of thought it was an opportunity to do something great, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that we'd have the full support. And I said, well, we're going to need another range, and we're going to need more people, and we're going to need, budget for guns and ammo and everything else. And he said, done. Do what you need to do. Make it successful. Our organization is called the Home of Champions. So whatever you do, you need to make champions. It's like, done.
So we started the Army Marksmanship Unit's Action Shooting and Combat Training Team. And I'm a big believer in move before you're ready. Like, I don't want to do a shit ton of planning and have a perfect plan and be ready for this. I want to know the direction we're going, and we start moving in that direction. And so that's what we did. We found a range. We took a budget. We converted that range. We built it from a range that hadn't been used since the 1950s and it was used as a BAR sub-caliber range. And for less than $60,000, we converted it into what you stepped onto for the first time that was known as Brinson Range.
Yeah.
And it was a world-class action shooting range, bay setup. The day that we opened up, I was so confident we would open. I had set up a match with Kay Mikulik for her to do the women's course there. And we actually opened the range and did the first shot ceremony the morning of her event starting. That's how bad it was. And I had already scheduled and taken money for the inaugural Fort Benning 3-gun challenge. And we didn't even have a range when we did all this shit. So we were sweating bullets and building shit up until the last minute. But it's been my experience that if you want to make the shit happen, especially with the bureaucracy and everything else in the Army, you do it and you plan it and you say what's going to happen, and then you start moving in that direction and you give it enough momentum that nobody can stop it. And when we finished with when we got the Fort Benning 3-gun match canceled, which was in 2010, we were the largest 3-gun match. That year we had over $300,000 on the prize table.
Wow.
We sold out in like 0.3 of a second through online registration. We were kind of the first to do that. We were the first to ever have a shoot off. I think in 2010 we gave away, the winner got a Rolex watch, $5,000 in cash, a rifle with a Gemtech suppressor and a Leupold 1-8. Like, no, but dude, like,
I would rather have second
as the
place.
winner, you get like $19,000 in cash, plus you still got to walk the prize table. Like, that's how ridiculous ours was. I think in 2010 we gave away 43 guns, so like 43rd place walked across and got a gun from the table. Like, that's how amazing the match was. Probably the only event that was cooler was, this is, not jerking your chain or blowing smoke, but the silencer shoot. The silencer shoot was pretty titties. The one in the very last one with Blackberry Smoke, or was it Blackberry?
Yeah,
Blackberry
flopped.
Smoke. But it was because you tried to do too much.
Tried to do too much, wasn't in control enough. Big corporate. That's after we sold.
Look, I'm not going to let you live on this whole wasn't in control of it. I think you've got a team and you can bring people in that can do some amazing shit.
Yeah.
That can execute a vision that may not be yours, but that'll end up being awesome.
I got to get better at my job. But yeah,
Look,
man.
dude, Adam's gone to do fucking actual work. So, I mean, it kind of proves that the idea of having somebody else there to watch your interests is helpful. But in any case, so action shooting team was awesome. We had some great guys when we were there. I like to think that I hired some really great guys, and we developed a really phenomenal team. We were, at the time, we were the winningest team in the marksmanship unit. But what was really great about us is that we translated everything that we knew into courses and coursework that was designed to make the warfighter better.
Yeah, this wasn't just a big Army. I mean, I know some of your guys were training like the very itty-bitty tip of the spear.
Yeah, I like to say we trained everybody on the spear from the very, very tip to the hilt.
Yeah.
We were all the way back by the ball sack and all the way up where all the business happens. But
ball sack and business.
Listen,
there's a shirt.
You got to think that's a rare breed of individuals, and that's a rare breed of coursework where we can translate what we do into something that benefits those that are the greatest and the winningest, all the way down to those that don't get enough range time or ammo time to build the kind of muscle memory that they need to go out and be as effective as possible.
Yeah.
And so to be able to develop coursework that benefits both of those two groups is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Being
it's
able
cool,
to have
but
the people that can do that training.
I think having groups too that can take, okay, let's say it's competition shooting when it comes to your guys, can take the aspects of that make sense and adapt it and apply it to like combat situations.
Sure.
To give them just a split-second advantage. That's an awesome thing. And we know, like, several of your shooters, whether it was Robbie Johnson or Daniel Horner or Tyler Payne, and there's a whole bunch of others that can shoot. I mean, you know, the video of the fixed rifle that Tyler Payne did where, like, he shoots the thing that launches the clay pigeon with the fixed rifle and then chambers another round, shoots the clay pigeon out of the air.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Like, what the hell? And that's just like a Tuesday for him.
Yeah, it's like a regular ass day. I mean, we were in Afghanistan, and he was on a team. I was coming back with another team, and I kid you not, we sat on the range one day waiting on this group to come out, and I watched T-Pain throw, draw, and shoot with a pistol 53 rocks without a miss. And it got to the point where we were just tired of fucking watching.
I mean, there's
them, so-
stuff, you know, it's just like Robbie at 1,000 yards with the AR, like stuff that you don't even believe is possible. And they do it.
And they make it look routine.
Because, who was Robbie's partner, St. John?
St. John, Jason St. John.
Yeah, so they, at the, what was the sniper competition?
Which one?
The big one at Benning every
So
year.
there's International Sniper Comp.
International Sniper Comp. So you'd have foreign militaries and government agencies, U.S., like the most elite guys.
Yeah, you had the best
And-
and a smattering of organizations that just thought they were the best.
Yeah, whether it be federal or the
Yeah.
Irish Army or whatever. But
The Irish were actually
I would
fucking
say
titties.
the
They
Irish-
were really fucking good.
the Israel, but
the Israelis were pretty good. It was like the local law enforcement, and then like maybe the Coast Guard. I'm not saying they sucked,
but compared to the very tip of the spear, and they're coming in second and third to the Army marksmanship unit team for a sniper competition. Ooh, yeah, there's some stuff you can learn like every year.
Well, yeah, but and you know the thing about it with Robbie and Jason were that Robbie and Jason both held operational billets
Yeah,
as snipers. So getting your ass handed to
both
you
in
by
Ranger
then,
Battalion,
right?
having combat experience.
Getting your ass handed to him by then is not that devastating.
Mm-hmm.
But what we were trying to explain, and what every team that came to us and trained, or we went out to and trained, understood, was that, look, operationally, tactically, we're not going to try to tell you how to do your job. But what we can tell you is that our techniques, our methodology, and the things that we're going to show you today are going to help you be faster and more accurate regardless of the situation you find yourself at.
Yeah.
And if you can be faster and more accurate, then you've increased your lethality, and chances are you've increased your survivability.
Yeah.
So just give us a chance to show you what we can do. And matches like International Sniper Comp, they prove that. Now, Robbie and Jason, again, long heritage of operational experience. Obviously, the things that we were able to do in the marksmanship unit made them even better. But then you take a team like Dan Horner and Tyler Payne, and they go through and just mash ass from go till done. I mean, destroy
Yeah,
all
it's funny. I
fucking
mean, they
comers.
get so good that the Army doesn't even want them in combat.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you
they
don't want to lose them.
you
And
don't want to
both
lose
those
that
guys wanting to
resource.
go into combat, and they want to send them over just to train guys, but don't
and
put
you,
them in
you
combat.
can be, and that's the thing. You know, you do have to realize that there are every doer needs an enabler. You know, you can sit back and look at Bin Laden and the hit on Bin Laden, and only one guy gets to shoot the bullet that kills him. You know, regardless of if everybody puts a couple of shots in him just to make sure, only one guy gets to kill him. But how many dozens and hundreds of people helped put him in that position, help train him to get there? Like, you need those enablers. Otherwise, it's just me and you showing up somewhere going, who the fuck do we shoot? So it's not that they're more valuable, but they're just as necessary. They're just as required. And if I can take a guy like Dan and have him train 2,000 guys to be more lethal and faster, then I have made a true force multiplier.
I think it is a curse of being great at something, being the leader. You know, for me, the other day, somebody at Q just said something like, "Oh my God, you know, the company's growing. We're doing these things, and like they get promoted, and they're in charge of a group of people at our company, and they're like, you know, I haven't gotten to do, you know, XYZ, the thing that they love, that the people underneath them are doing in 2 years." And I'm like, motherfucker, I haven't done the thing I love to do in 28 years. Like, that's just part of it. You know, and sometimes, I mean, that's a curse. I mean, I remember when Daniel really wanted to go into combat. He wanted to go to selection. He wanted to move up and within the Army to a special operations group. And he was too valuable for what he was. So it doesn't matter what you want. And do you think some of that happened when Pat Tillman was killed, when he left the NFL and came in, and it was very high profile that, you know, like, I mean, what a great American story. This kid grows up in California. He's a great patriot. He's a stud athlete. He works hard. He ends up in the NFL, multi-million-dollar contract. 9/11 happens, and, you know, he hears the call of, like, patriotism, quits the NFL, leaves the NFL at least, joins the Army, ends up in Ranger Battalion, I think, with his brother, and then is killed in combat. And, like, what a horrific story in some regards for the Army.
Sure.
Because, we've got this celebrity in this, you know, like, what a great story for the Army. Someone's in the NFL, like so many kids' dreams, and decides to leave that after 9/11 to go defend his country, and then he's killed in combat.
Right.
Well, and the circumstances under which he was killed.
Well, it came out later. The Army obviously didn't handle it correctly. But I just wondered how much that changed. Like, you get these individuals, and it's a different, you know, it's a different circumstance with Daniel Horner. He didn't go in the NFL and wasn't on TV every Sunday and all that. But, you know, he's the best shooter in the world. And we use him as a recruiting tool.
Right.
So we can't send him into combat.
Sure. So, first part of that is absolutely Pat Tillman changed a lot of the view on things. Yeah, it's kind of like having a living Medal of Honor recipient. Right, you're never going to go to combat again. You're never going to go close to combat again because your story and you being there
more valuable
is more
than
valuable
anything you can do.
Than anything you can do as an individual.
Yeah.
But so I think what happened with Pat Tillman, it has certainly changed the way that anyone else in that situation will be utilized inside of the Army. But for a Dan Horner and a Tyler Payne, I can honestly tell you that what was looked at from them as from the perspective of the two of them, like, let's say, and I don't want to say this fucked up, like, oh, just be a Ranger. Like, that's some hard shit, especially to be in battalion, not just be, you know, not just have a tab, but rocking scrolls in stereo and doing the work, right? Or going to selection or taking the long walk. They would be two fucking phenomenal operators, regardless of the organization they were in. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they'd be good at anything they do.
Or I leave them where they're at and allow their impact to touch 50 or 100,000 warfighters every 2 or 3 years.
No, I think
difference.
in some ways it's, you know, selfishly it's unfortunate for them, but
Sure.
it is probably the right call.
Right,
for the
and it's
country.
not about celebrity in their terms. It's about how do they most effectively support the force.
It's hard to come to terms with that. I mean, I think, you know, for them, unfortunately, you know, they're great at what they do, and we know the guys in these tier one, like, really elite assets would be good in anything they do, most likely. And
Sure.
just unfortunate for, Daniel and Jason and Tyler. If you want the combat stuff, like, you're so good at this one thing, sorry.
And the one thing that you're so good at is you're able to so they're not just good shooters. They're able to take that and translate it and make others good shooters.
Yeah.
Like I've met a ton of great, just absolutely phenomenal shooters who's like, well, how do you do what you do? Well, I put the sight on the target and I pull the trigger. Well, that's not fucking
Kyle
helping that
Lamb,
guy who
Pat
can't do it.
McNamara,
You know what I
Larry
mean?
Vickers, yeah.
Just let me show you what I'm doing. Just do it like I'm doing it. And like, no. We've got guys who can break you down and make you understand what you're doing and make you better. And that's a big damn deal. And that has a much larger impact. So unfortunately, both of those guys have had to go out and get the experiences that they've wanted to in other ways without being able to be assigned to those organizations and doing the things that they would really love to do. But as much as it sucks for them personally, as an organization, the Army benefits for it. And I would say that because the Army benefits from it, the country benefits from it. And they're being utilized at the highest possible capacity. And that was the big deal for the AMU. When we met, it was because we filmed the International Sniper Competition, which was the first one that Robbie and I just thought about this. I didn't even think about it when you said it, but the very first International Sniper Comp, I was the coach, Robbie was the shooter, Jason was the spotter. And we worked with a group. I worked with a group that was doing the filming of it for the History Channel.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was a show on History Channel called Top Sniper. And we needed some B-roll footage. And I reached out to Lindsay and told her, hey, I want to bring this group out here. I never met
Lindsay used to run Advanced Army.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that Lindsay. So the silencer shoot was coming up, and I told the camera team, was like, hey, I think we may be able to go and check this out. I'll give them a call. So I called Lindsay, and she was like, yeah, I have to talk to Kevin, but, I mean, I guess it's whatever. You guys can come out. Simultaneously, Robbie and I had designed the TACMOD chassis.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
And so we kind of finagled it to have a space on the line. And we knew, I got a shit memory, from Remington.
Jason.
No. We didn't know Jason at the time. We knew
Greg Baradat.
We knew Baradat and Haugen.
Oh,
and those were the guys
Haugen.
those were the guys that we knew from Remington.
Such
and
a
so
goober.
when we knew that Remington was going to be there, we said, well, put us on the line next to them. So that's actually how we met Jason Schaub and all that stuff. And me trying to be me, and see, world, I'm going to tell you something that Kevin knows but has suppressed. Our thing with the Fort Benning 3-gun match was we always had like a vendor night and then a shooter night, and the goal of vendor night was to let vendors meet up and kind of do some business in a relaxed atmosphere, and I need a coating for this or I need sights for that, and kind of mesh them all up. So I was always trying to link people together. So while we were there, we were talking about the 2010 program because we were trying to get TACMOD
it was
2010.
The M24, the Army Sniper Rifle upgrade M24.
And so it was the XM 2010 program that we were working toward. And what we didn't understand at that point was that Remington was working with KDEX for that chassis, but we were trying to get them to take the TACMOD chassis, and they said they were. And one of the big issues was the suppressor. Robbie and I didn't know you from a can of paint, but we were like, dude, this is the greatest suppressor ever. We've shot it. It's fucking titties. You need to take a look at it at the Titan. Next thing you know, you and Haugen and Baradat and Schabel were all together.
Oh, yeah, because I guess that's before they bought our company.
That was the meeting. That was the reason that you said Baradat's the greatest human being on earth, because he made all that shit happen. Bitch, we made that happen. We were the middleman to making that happen. So world, you get to see the truth.
Oxford suit for that meeting.
Then we went to Fido's that night.
Oh, yeah.
Funny story. Me and Robbie.
I forgot
we looked
about
up
that.
at Fido's.
The silencer shoots. We got the poster over there. They were an awesome time, and it was a way to connect part of the industry, and it was a big party for me. And just the way that I do business in general. But they were great.
So we went
You're
out
right.
there.
We went to Fido's.
We went to Fido's.
Yeah, we rented that
got
bar out.
Ridiculously drunk at Fido's. But that was where all of the AAC and Remington shit transpired. We got some great footage from that. We did some really cool stuff for the show. If you get a chance, go on History Channel online. The very first season of Top Sniper, that was us. I mean, it's a killer episode. Great. So yeah, that was what. But that was the big thing. It was kind of after that my wife was like, you've done a lot of development. You've done a lot of different things. You should formalize some of this stuff. So we started our consulting company, the Committee Consulting.
So you retire from there. You start doing consulting.
I started doing consulting in 2008. I didn't retire until 2013.
Seems like you're cheating.
Yeah. It would seem that way, but it wasn't. It was completely legal. I've got all the JAG paperwork to prove it. Plus, I'm retired. What the fuck they gonna do if it wasn't?
So you've done stuff for Leatherman, Benchmade.
Our first big contract was with. Well, our first two big contracts were with Leatherman and with Tier 1 Group from Cerberus.
Oh yeah, training facility.
Yep, but one of the ones I was most proud of was Leatherman. Leatherman was not into the MUT, the military utility tool, which is the tool that we developed for them, and it was the Committee Consulting, but it was myself and Robbie Johnson that did that tool. They had nothing that was firearm or law enforcement or military centric. And the first time I went for the meeting, I walked into a boardroom with everybody sitting with their arms crossed, like, what the fuck are you going to tell us? They catered lunch, and all of none of the sandwiches had meat on them. They were like bean sprout and vegetarian and Vegemite and shit like that in Oregon. Huge tree hugging, kind of thing. By the time I left consulting with the company, they owned ARs. They had a company membership at the range down the road. They had made the MUT. They had made the Raptor. So they were making tools that were designed for military. So these were tools,
that designed for military, had some gun-specific stuff on them.
Yep.
So didn't you do something for Benchmade?
Nope. Never did anything with Benchmade, no.
Okay, so I'm making that up.
Yep. Hey, it's cool, though. Benchmade.
They might be a little too woke.
Yeah, all those Oregon companies are getting all super wokey now.
I mean, they're, the thing about it is when you're that big, and not with Leatherman, I think Leatherman just hadn't been exposed to the right opportunity.
Yeah.
And, it was no magic or anything. We just brought them the right opportunity there. And the MUT turned out to be their highest margined and highest selling launch. So, and it's still one of their highest margin tools right now. And in fact, the lead engineer on MUT, shout out to Ben Rivera, is now the CEO of Leatherman.
Oh wow!
So I mean, it was a phenomenal tool, and it put them on a track, that I don't think they would have been. I know they wouldn't have been on without that tool. But I think with a lot of the larger companies, it comes down to, is the juice worth the squeeze? How much are we going to get for sale of it? Is it the direction we need to go in? But what I think some of the companies miss by going, well, this niche isn't big enough to make a difference, is that's how innovation really occurs. It's, hey, what road can we move down and learn? Where can we grow? And even if A isn't where we need to be, C is probably going to be there. But we can't get from A to C without waiting for someone else to get to C, and then we become a me too. So how do we advance it? How do we move the ball forward? Like, I have no belief that the fix or the mini fix is your final hoorah to the bolt gun world. But wherever you're going, you wouldn't get there without stopping here.
No, that's true. I always say, people ask, like, the thing I'm most proud of, and it's always the next thing.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's what I say on my deathbed. Like, I just love product and innovation, and I don't want different for the sake of different. I want different for the sake of better.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if that translates to everyone, every company, but fuck everyone. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. And, in starting Q or any of these other things, it's like, if I say, if you don't like your product from us and it doesn't, meet some sort of, like, whatever company policy we have for a refund or a replacement, I'll buy your shit back personally.
How many have you bought back?
0.
Exactly.
But, it's there. I got the money in the bank account. Like, send it on. Like, I ain't worried about it. But, I also do it with starting the company. I was fortunate and maybe dumb enough with Q. Like with Advanced Armament, I felt passionately about silencers first time I shot one. And that was really my course, and I knew it, and everything I had to put into it, which wasn't a lot, and we grew it organically. But then I couldn't get funding. I couldn't get financing, so it had to be organic. And then by the time I could have gotten it, I didn't really need it. But I should have taken it in hindsight because we could have grown things faster, and there would probably be no Silencer Co. or any of these other companies would have dominated the market. But I did the course that I did, and I thought like selling to Remington, making silencers mainstream was the right move. And in hindsight, I think to some degree it was. I think Remington and Surefire really made silencers mainstream, and that wouldn't have happened without me selling to them.
Yeah, and you needed to do that to be here.
Yeah, and then it
you
hurt.
really did.
And like I wanted to prove to myself I could work for a big company. Didn't work out. And then I tried again with SIG, and I only worked at SIG part-time. But again, it just didn't work out. Like I was just not able to squish myself into their mold. And greatest thing that could have happened, because I can't envision, like I was very happy at Advanced Armament, but I didn't understand part of it. And then there were a lot of stresses that weren't necessary. So now with maturity, just wisdom, being older, and having that experience, I know how much I love Q and how fortunate I am with Q and how great Q is.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with me here, but what it has to do with, and like any of the haters, like understand, like number one, I don't need your fucking approval and I don't care. Number two, I do this selfishly and I'm fully aware and comfortable with that. But number three, it benefits everyone. Like I want to push innovation. I want the product. I want it more than I want money. And not to say that I'm willing to live to be poor. Like I have a very comfortable life and it's fine with me. I don't want to be the biggest gun company in the world. I don't care about being the richest guy. I want to develop product that gets me excited to get up in the morning. Because at 35, I was in a position where I had no purpose to work for money. Like, I had all the money I could ever dream of, and I had, like, 3 little kids, and, like, what do you do? You're 35. All your friends work. I didn't grow up rich. I don't know what you do with money. And so it's like, okay, well, now I just take my kids to school every day and pick them up, and I work some. And what's the reason? I remember my kid's mom at the time asking me when I sold the company, which I said before, and the next day she's like, I get up, shower, she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to work. She's like, she didn't even understand that I still was going to work. She's like, why in the world would you still work? And I was like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, just like, I'm not taking the nanny's jobs. Like, I'm just going to fix breakfast, take the kids to school. And in her mind, I understand, I think that's like most people, but for me it was like, now is go time. Now we have the resources to do all these great things I couldn't have done. And that's an exciting thing about Q, because I fell in love with silencers as a teenager. I started that. But, always like me loving HK, Knight's Armament. I want to do guns. I want to do this. And I don't want to have my own weapon system to stamp my name on it and for the legacy of it. And I think in some degree that's sort of what's happening. But it's only because I find niches that I think need to be exploited. I think the bolt gun was one. Like we started with the chassis back then. You and Robbie, way ahead of your time, doing the TAC mod.
The very first AR platformed chassis.
Yeah, so meaning, you got the grip, you got all the stuff like that. And Accuracy International had a chassis, but it was part of their bolt gun design, but it didn't really replicate anything with the AR.
Right.
But it started a trend, and it showed something that was necessary.
And we got shit on so hard on the internet machine.
Everything, when it's different and people don't understand it, they attack you.
Oh, yeah.
And, but that's probably something where you and I have always connected, having the confidence and understanding. You might not get it now, but I'm looking around the corner, like you said earlier. And the fix was just an evolution of the chassis thing. Once you guys did the chassis, and then we did the MSR rifle at Remington, and whatever chassis it was, whether it was a TAC mod, ends up being the Rax chassis from Remington, which is a KDEX product.
Which, by the way, is head and shoulders above the TAC mod. And I think Robbie is the one who described it. So he said, you know what? KDEX, the MSR chassis is City Girl. and Tac Mod is country girl. Your city girl is sexy, dressed real well, got her nails done. My country girl, she's a little bit chunkier, got some old boots on, but they'll both give you a damn good ride. And my country girl's cheaper.
That's a song lyric I've ever heard one time.
But
yeah,
we lost out because they could only submit one. And you got $1 million on this one, and I've got my life savings of $60,000 on this one, but it ain't cost Remington dick. Well, they dropped us. And smart business decision. I mean, I cried for months over that shit.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've said it out loud because my wife doesn't need to know about that, but she don't listen to your podcast, no way. So, but I mean, that was a hurting thing for us because that was our upstart.
It's some of the big learning best.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I learned it with Remington. I learned it with SIG, and it makes me comfortable with where I am now. But without those things happening, and for ever since then, when that happened, I'm like, Remington. At the time, they owned us, and Remington lived on the Model 870 and the 700. Both were 40 years old or so, 10 million units apiece. And I'm like, what's the next product? The 700's getting dated. What's the next one? And that's what, in hindsight, it's what the fix was. And at the time, I thought it would be an action and chassis separate like it used to be. But over time, not getting to do it then, Remington being too stubborn and too greedy to listen, we didn't do it at Remington. SIG was the same way, and SIG was really a handgun company, and Ron, it was tough for him to buy off on it. But over time, then we realized, like, why do we need a separate action? And this is how the fix was born. So, this is based on all those experiences, and I think this did change the bolt gun game. And
Sure.
For me, it's not, again, I never want to do something just to be different, but it's like, okay, where are these niches within the industry that there is an opportunity to exploit and to do something new and innovative? And I don't think in the terms of like Eugene Stoner or John Browning where can develop something totally new, but I am good at improving stuff, and I think that's what you guys were doing, and I think that's what the fix gun did. And I'm not sure if we'll do another bolt gun. Like, I would love to do a straight pull version.
You'll do a straight pull. I was just going to say, there's no chance you don't do a straight pull.
Gas guns, and I think it's the thing. Like, my passion for small arms and the enjoyment that I get out of it is worth more to me than the money in my personal life. Like, it's cool to have this house and stuff, and it's cool. I learned this, too, probably about the same time as we're talking about the Tac Mod stock in Remington. I was with a friend of mine, and I had sold the company, and he had a lot of money, and he was homegrown too, and he lived a normal life, and you would never know he was worth tens of millions of dollars at the time, and he'd earned it himself. And I was looking for a new car, so I got a Lexus ISF, which wasn't super expensive, but it was. And I was looking at a Mercedes AMG thing, and we drove by the Mercedes dealership near where we lived, and I was riding with him. We went to lunch together, we did some real estate investing and stuff at the time. And we're in his Suburban, and the dude, he at the time, one of the wealthiest people I knew. And so I made a couple bucks off Remington. He had 10 or 100 times what I had. And he's 15, 18, 20 years older than me. And we're riding by that Mercedes dealership, and he's like, "You still want to get that car?" I said, "Yeah, I think so. I don't know which one yet. But, either the Mercedes, the BMW, the Lexus." And I thought frugal within my own means because, like, if I can't pay cash for it and if I don't mind losing the money, then I'm not going to buy it. And it seemed reasonable. But he's like, "Well, that's cool." He's like, "If I was your age, maybe I'd do it." But he says, "You know what's really cool?" I'm like, "What's that?" He says, "Knowing that I could buy that whole dealership." And he just turns onto the highway right in front of it. And, that's, it still sticks with me, now 15 years later, him just saying like, "Yeah, that's cool. Go get your car." But it's really cool at my age knowing I could buy the whole dealership. And, there's a comfort in that. But what I find is that I love this stuff. And so when you showed me stuff yesterday, like some of the new optics you guys are doing and the new bleepity bleep bleep, I'm like, holy fuck, I love this because I love innovation. And that's separate from my love from fucking Aaron Hampton. It's like, I don't give a shit. You and I are cool. You could work at Tasco. Like, okay, we're cool.
I would not.
But
Just FYI.
But I mean, that optic yesterday, I cannot wait. I seriously thought about how can I steal it and you guys not know.
You don't have to steal it. You'll get it. But
But that changes something for me in a practical sense. Not for me to say, oh, I got the latest, greatest, I'm so fucking cool. But this changes stuff. It gives me another slight advantage over what I've got now.
And that is the answer. Back 2010, myself, Robbie, huge advocates of that program, not because we wanted to get our chassis on it, but because the entire rationale behind the M24 sniper system being a long action was that
you could upgrade it one day.
Yeah, and at the time, 300 Win Mag was kind of an emerging technology. Well, the 300 Win Mag is a force multiplier. I mean, it makes the 80% shot of a 308 100% plus. So
it takes you from 400 to 800 meters basically for the average guy.
Not only that, like, look, what's the hardest part? It's determining distance and compensating for wind. And if you're off by a little bit with a 300 Win Mag, that same little bit with a 308 is off target. It's a miss. It's a force multiplier. It's an amazing thing. So we advocated really hard for that to happen because if it is the warfighter, I want them to have the best equipment possible to make them as lethal and survivable as possible. But at the same time, I look at my customers the same way. I want to give you the best for this role. You'll never see us make something that is 100, or any company I'm involved with, but especially EOTECH, because I know their commitment right now. You'll never see us make something that we say is one size fits all, because that's not the case. We're going to innovate for that specific skill set or mission set, and let's build it to that.
Well, I wondered for the last year or so because I hadn't seen a lot of new stuff from you guys. And, now know more of the backstory. You guys sold. You're independent again. You're not under L3, but you came out with the Voodoo line. And you have the holographic sights, which are great. But haven't seen a lot of innovation there the last few years. And now seeing that you guys can do different reticles in that you guys are doing new products, and then in the Voodoo line offering stuff that no one else offers right now. It lighter, more, better. Like,
absolutely.
And that's exciting because that separates, like, Vortex, great company, Leupold's a great company, Swarovski's a great company, and they all have their strong points. But to me, some of the stuff I saw, unless they come by and show me some new stuff they're working on, like, they got some catching up to do here pretty soon.
Awesome, man. We appreciate it, man. But I and this may not make you pass, but it's, just something we haven't talked about in a while. I was an employee, not just a consultant, but I was an employee of EOTECH when they were with L3 Harris for about 7 months. And when the buyout, or when they divested, and the new ownership came on board, I thought that their plan was amazing. And I talked to JB about it. After the sale was done, I got a phone call when everything was through, and on that Saturday, because that was the time when everybody who was there was either going to get a letter to return, or, hey, fuck off, we're not retaining you. And I got a letter that said, hey, come on back. And I talked with JB, and I'm like, for what you guys are trying to do right now, I don't think I fit. You've got a lot of crap on the roadmap, and all that stuff is going to get cut off as soon as you look at it, because it was all corporately driven based on other programs that they had going, and we were just the company that needed to push it, right, because it had to go commercial. Yeah. And I'm talking $100 million programs that were going to net a fuckle, but we were being forced to do it. And I said, ultimately, until you figure out where you're going, you only need one product manager. And you know me well enough to know I'm a little bit cocky, and I'm quite a bit confident.
I've heard this.
I know there ain't, well, you've seen it, Anywho, I know that I'm in this industry, I'm a phenomenal product developer. I mean, I understand it. I speak engineer. One of my favorite quotes is from Henry Ford, and it really relates to the voice of the customer, where he said, if I listened to my customer, they'd have told me they wanted a faster horse. And you can't do that. You've got to look beyond.
You got to smack the customers in the face sometimes.
Well, customers and salespeople, what they know is that this is what I can sell and this is what I can buy. So they want derivatives of that. If you want to do something, wildly successful and different, you've got to go a different path. And so I knew that EOTECH was going to do that, and I wanted to be a part of it, but I knew I didn't fit at the moment. And we have another product manager who's the director of product management now, Mark Miller. And Mark is, he's a bit of a unicorn. The guy is an engineer by trade. He's designed and developed holographic weapon sights, but he's also got the chops and the personality to be in product management. So it's like, I'll take the Pepsi challenge against any product manager in this business. I know what I know. I know the customers. I know the products. I can pull a trigger with the best of them. I can do that shit. But when it comes to holography and being in that, I would bow out to Mark any day of the week, when it comes to EOTECH. Yeah. So I told JB, hey, look, I'm going to step back. I'm going to go back and do some consulting. I'm here if you guys need me. And so I did a little bit of consulting, helped them, consolidate the roadmap, go into what other products they were going, some of the stuff that you saw yesterday, all those things. But at the same time, I was looking for a new opportunity. I wanted to build something. I wanted to grow to something. And I had an opportunity with another gun company, FN America, so I took it. And, sometimes sometimes you get an opportunity to see, the other side of it and to see where you're at. And
it's hard with a European-owned American company.
Yeah, I think part of it is there's an honest assessment to that, where it's like, hey, the Europeans do have their own way of looking at things and a superiority complex of we're better and we know how to do it and you'll never meet up to it. But there's also that really ugly truth of oftentimes the American asset of that company doesn't necessarily hire the best people or value the best people, and they have a built-in excuse if it doesn't work. Well, the fucking Europeans don't listen to us.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
oh,
blah,
man,
blah.
I can't wait. Wayne Weber's coming to do the podcast, and he was the president of H&K USA for a long time. And, during the time that, HK was really, in my opinion, on the commercial market, just declining. And I can't wait to hear his assessment. Like, I have my own view of it, and I've heard different things, and I've known him for a long time. And it's probably a combination of the things.
Yeah,
but
it
what
is.
A tough spot to be in.
It's definitely a combo.
So FN thing was just, that wasn't your cup of tea?
No, I mean, it wasn't, the leadership there, at least on the FN America side, doesn't have the... at least on product management and product development side, they don't have the experience or the understanding of the market space to do the things that they want to do. And I knew that in very short time, I was either going to be a fucking pariah that got fired because, I'm the bad guy, or I was going to quit, or I was going to wake up one day and go, you know what? This fucking place is awesome. And then I was going to go out to the Savannah River and wash my mouth out with buckshot, because that's not the fucking dude I want to be.
There's another song lyric, Jay. You could bounce that fucking bass to that. Wash your mouth out with buckshot.
I want to get up every day and fucking kill it. I don't want to get up and just be there. I don't want to get up and just be there, even if we're fucking making money. I want to get up and kill it.
It is, and I think everyone says that. And I think the real way to know is, like, give someone that thinks that everything they've ever thought they wanted.
You may be right, but I'm gonna. You may be right about the second half of that, but the first half you're dead fucking wrong.
No.
All right, there are more people in this world, and by a factor of 80 in this industry, that don't want to do anything more today than they did yesterday.
See, that is such a disconnect for me. I don't understand. And I know it has to be true, but I don't want to believe it.
Well,
'Cause
I didn't
don't
believe
understand
it either.
and I want to stay driven.
Let me say it like Leatherman. Leatherman didn't really at the time support the gun industry, but it was because they didn't know to support it, right? But everybody there was 100% committed on building killer tools and innovation and going to the next step. And EOTECH's the same way, and there's a few other companies I work for the same way. But there's also a hell of a lot of companies that I've worked for where it's like, dude, I can spend the next 30 years here making a great fucking rate of pay and building up a 401k, and I don't have to do shit. And that's fucking awesome. I don't care if we ever get any better.
Yeah, it was
And
so hard.
I can't do that.
It's so hard. No.
So I lasted 10 weeks, which was about 9 weeks longer than I probably should have been there. In fact, I probably should have never came, but I thought that it was going to be amazing. I was on a call where we were doing a charter for a program to figure out how to fix a really shitty trigger. And during the Zoom meeting, I submitted my letter of resignation because it was just that fucking ridiculous. And when I got done, I reached out to JB and said, hey, I can continue consulting. We do something else. And then we got to talking. And the next thing you know, it was like, well, dude, why don't you just come back full time? We've got more than enough work now, and we can do some other stuff.
Yeah, if they have opportunity, I can't think of someone better in product
and being
management.
with that kind of team, being with the team, I mean, you and I are the same in what we want. We want to get up and we want to innovate and we want to do some amazing shit. I think the big difference is I can, because of my experiences, what I've been in, keep in mind, I grew up in the Army, right? I grew up in an organization where, number one, you can love it all you want, but they only want you for a limited time. And number two, you're never fucking going to get rich. And you can have all the ideas you want, and if you're really lucky, you'll get a cool coin and maybe a little dangly, licky, and chewy to put on your uniform. But that's about fucking it. So whereas you found out from the Remington thing that you have to work for you, I need the same shit you need to feel productive. I need the autonomy to fucking operate. I need the budget and the latitude to be able to, hey, this is where the finish line is, but let me get there. But I don't need to be the guy. Like, I can work for someone else. I don't know how the fuck you would ever work for somebody else.
No, I mean, I think if I joined the Army as a teenager, it'd probably be a different story.
Agreed.
But just had I gone to engineering school,
right,
it'd probably be a different story.
We're where we're at today because of our experiences of yesterday. Yeah. So we're where we need to be.
No, I love it. But the passion's there, the understanding of product and wanting to push it forward.
And that's the key.
But I'm all about it. But, man, thank you for coming out. I can't wait till you next level and you get something better than a Rolex watch, and hopefully that'll be after SHOT Show. Jay, I'm glad you made it back. Stop staying up late chasing hoes and get here more often. Yeah. And
remember, if you chase money, you'll never miss a hoe. But if you chase hoes, you can miss money.